The purpose of Wealth Talk is to educate, inform, and hopefully entertain you on the subject of building your wealth. WealthBuilders recommends you should always take independent financial, tax, or legal advice before making any decisions around your finances.
Today's episode is brought to you by WealthBuilders Membership, a proven step-by-step process that helps you achieve financial security within 2 to 3 years. To find out more, head to wealthbuilders.co.uk/membership. Welcome to this week's episode of Wealth Talk. My name's Christian Rodwell, Membership Director for WealthBuilders, joined today by our founder, Mr. Kevin Whelan. Hi, Kevin.
Hello, Chris. Good to be with you. How are you feeling? You haven't been your best recently.
Oh, I know. Well, thanks for asking. Yeah, I'm still trying to shift this chest infection and cough. Been about a month now, so still not 100%.
Well, as long as you're coughing, not coughing.
Yes, I'll try not to cough throughout this podcast episode today. And a great episode. Always love hearing from our members. Of course, it's the whole reason we do what we do, is to see the progress, to see that transformation from people who perhaps a little nervous when they first take that first, step into the community, not quite sure if it's going to work out for them. But we know, Kevin, those who follow the process and stick with it will get the results eventually.
You know, there's an interesting point you talk about being nervous, right? You're only nervous about something that's important. Think about it. You know, are you nervous walking down the street? No. Are you nervous in your day-to-day job? No. Are you nervous if you run a business and you've been running it for years? No. You're always nervous when you do something that's challenging, but on the other side of the challenge is the transformation. And this is what's happened in this case. But it takes people to be open-minded to that challenge and not to be daunted by the challenge. Do you know what? You couldn't get a better example of people who followed the process, could you? Did they tick the box? They ticked all the boxes. Did they follow the process? They followed the process. Did they cheat the wheel, as we call it? No, they didn't cheat the wheel. They did everything and more with as many different strategies you could talk about, from business strategies to SaaS strategies to property strategies, family wealth strategies, anything that is part of what we do. And in such a short time frame too, that's kind of surprising. And I think often when you look back and you celebrate what you've done, you've forgotten how far you've come. And this is, I think, what they found, didn't they, Steve and Marie? So good case study to pull out, Chris, and humble people too, and which is why they don't really talk about numbers so much, but that's fine. But we kind of know where most of our members are aiming at when we talk about security, when we talk about independence. While everybody's number is different, the kind of averages that seem to ring true for most people.
Yeah, that's right. So our conversation today is with husband and wife, Steve and Marie Khela. Steve is a business owner. He'll talk about that. Didn't want all his eggs in one basket. And we see business owners falling into this trap sometimes, Kevin, not looking outside of the business asset class. And Steve and Marie have absolutely now expanded and diversified into different areas. And the goal for them was early retirement, early 50s for Steve, late 40s for Marie. But they'd created something called Project 55. And, they're absolutely on track ahead of time, I think, for completing that. And they want to go on more holidays, freedom of travel, really important to them, but also that freedom of choice so that they can step back from the day-to-day activities of their business and choose the things they want to do.
I think it's fascinating in a way that I talk to business owners all the time, and I encourage them to see that in reality, they've got two businesses. The business that they're in and the business of wealth, because only wealth gives certainty in life. Businesses don't give certainty. It's the wealth that flows from some businesses. And we know most businesses do not sell, and most businesses don't create recurring income. So for most business owners, like job owners, they've got to reinvest money in order to build their wealth. And that reinvestment, I often get them to imagine, and we do this in WealthBuilders, Chris, don't we, that they've got a second business and they call it something like a family wealth business. And we've got so many stories of our members creating logos and getting the children involved and a whole raft of different very creative ideas. They created their own Project 55. I mean, that's just brilliant, isn't it? It's not necessarily a business, but it's the business of doing and achieving financial independence by a certain date, which, it's amazing they've done, well, I'll tell you the results, but so quickly in such a relatively short space of time, really. That surprised them as they look back, I think.
Absolutely. Yes. They joined in March 2023. So just a little over 12 months, really. So I think best that we hear from them and their own story. So let's head on today to our conversation with Steve and Marie Khela. Steve and Marie, welcome to Wealth Talk. How are you both today?
Really good, Christian. Really, really good.
Yeah, nice to meet you. See you, Christian.
Yeah, so pleased to have you on. It's been an absolute whirlwind, 18 months or not even that, I think. It was back in March 2023 when you decided to join the WealthBuilders Academy. And boy, you haven't stopped since, right? So we're going to talk through what you've been doing and hear how some of that has turned into almost hitting your financial independence level now, which is an incredible achievement. So well done to you both. I'll say that now. But let's take you back to that point where you made that decision. Okay, we're going to join WealthBuilders. What was going on at that time? What was it that you felt you needed some help with, and what were you looking to gain from joining the community?
Yeah, sure. So when we started off with WealthBuilders, I originally found you guys online on Facebook. I was scrolling through, and then it was mentioning about the pensions and stuff. So we had a SIP already set up, but I wanted something which we can set up as a family pension. And the SAS was something we looked at, and we thought that sounds really good. Looked into it a bit more, jumped on a call with Gary as well, Gary Whelan. He explained how it all works and everything. And from there, really just signed up for the academy and signed up for the SAS program as well at that same time. Our finances we were okay financially, but we wanted to make sure we had a structure in place. So that's our main thing that we wanted to do, really. And that's what WealthBuilders helped us do.
And you followed the roadmap, which we'll talk through some of those steps today and see exactly what helped you to make the progress that you've made. And mindset is key at the beginning. Now, you've been a business owner for 20 odd years, Steve, so you've got that resilience, I'm sure. And in terms of if you've given some actions by a coach, you've got some things to do. Are you the kind of person that makes sure you just get on and do it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm one of them who likes to make a list of things and set myself a target, and I want to tick them off. So that was one of the things which really helped. The wealth coach helped as well. We'll go over our targets and sit down and just write them down and just try to target them month by month, really. Yeah, so it was really good.
So some of the early steps in the process are just really good housekeeping, looking at money coming in and out of your life. And we've got a process called debits. Were there any things that you were aware of there, perhaps fees that you were paying or, outgoings that you didn't need anymore, which could help you reduce some of those outgoings?
Sure. So I had a couple of life insurances which were running on properties before that we had, and they were just running in the background. So we weren't using that house that we sold. That house, I was linked to the house, so we managed to cancel a couple of them. There are a few direct debits which were coming out from magazines and stuff. So I was just saving little bits in here and the stuff really that we managed to cut down. In the end, I think we saved about 180 quid, I think, in total, just doing that debits challenge, which was really good. And it was just good writing all these figures down in front of us and seeing what's coming in and what's going out.
Yeah. And then the key is obviously to make sure you put that savings to good use, asset building use. The other key thing that holds people back, and be interesting to hear your thoughts on this, both of you, is time. A lot of people never really get started because they say, oh, I'm already so busy. I don't have any spare time to start building wealth. Well, you've got a family, you've got a business, you're both really busy. So where did you find the time to start, building wealth as well?
Well, that's when Kevin mentioned that in a couple of his podcasts. I was always mentioning, even if you spend 2 hours a week just doing some wealth building or just getting your sitting down and writing down what you want to do. So we just broke down our targets. So we've got something called Project 55, which we've had it running for about 6 or 7 years, really. And that's something, by the time we reach 55, we want to be able to take a back step and maybe get a holiday home in Dubai or something and move there really for 6 or 7 months. And that was our project. So we just broke it down from there really and said, look, we've got to spend at least 2 hours a week just sorting out events and stuff, really.
I think we were always doing it, weren't we, for the past 6 or 7 years. There was always that time that we'd put aside to think about the future and planning for the future. And we did gradually build a decent savings pot as well over that time to kind of, okay, we're at this stage now, what can we do with that money? So it's always been there. But like I said, last year, March, we just went full with it.
Yeah.
And took on
a lot more than we proactive. Yeah.
Yeah. So, as you said, looking for a bit more structure, a bit more guidance and direction. And, boy, as I say, have you taken that guidance? And, the key thing as well early on is to understand yourself, right? What are you good at? What are you not so good at? What do you enjoy? What are some of the tasks that you should find other people to do? All of that. And we obviously do Wealth Dynamics, which is an online assessment, really helps you to find out what your entrepreneurial profile is. So can you each remember what your Wealth Dynamic profile was?
Yeah. So originally I started with I did mine first, and I was an accumulator. And when you start reading up on what it is, it was exactly what I was really. I was very good with my numbers and everything. So after that, I decided Marie, if she can do hers as well, and she turned out to be an accumulator as well. So we were both the same, so
we had various
surprise.
That I was a bit of a supporter. There was kind of some peaks around, but generally, majority we were
both accumulators. Yeah.
Interesting. And they say accumulators are the best project managers. So do you feel that you're both pretty good at making sure things get delivered when they should do?
100%. Yeah, I think we both have a different set of skills. And we just really bounce off each other. We work in the business together as well. So I think that's helped, hasn't it, by running the business and moving on to this part of our, future planning. We've worked really well together.
So at the heart of the Wealth Builders process and our model is all built around 7 pillars. And the more assets that you can begin to generate recurring income from, then the more financially stable you can become. And those 7 assets, of course, cover your home, investments, property, business. What were some of the assets that you already had when you joined Wealth Builders? And then what were some of the new ones that you chose to focus on?
Our main asset was our business, really. Yeah, so we've had our business running for about since 2003. After I left university, I couldn't find a job, really. And I ended up starting my IT business, looking after charities, really. Started looking after charities and building computers for them in the garage. And they would, from there, got a few support contracts and started building the IT business up from there. So we had that already in place, and it's been growing and growing and growing, really, over the years. And then we had a few properties as well already. So we had a couple of buy-to-lets that we bought in 2016, and we just let it run.
Yeah, 2015.
2016, yeah. Our home was another big asset that we've had. We've always wanted to be paying that mortgage off completely. So we did that by the age of 40. We wanted to make sure that was out of the way and no stress with that, really. So that was our main assets, really, our business and a couple of buy-to-lets.
And when you sat down with your coach and started talking about your plan, what were some of the pillars that you decided you were going to focus on then?
Mainly was going to be our property, because we enjoyed property, and I wanted to focus more on that than anything else. We already had stocks and shares, so that was one of the other things that we wanted to focus on. So our pensions were invested in stocks and shares, so we wanted to keep that going as well. And then maybe a couple of JVs as well. That's one of the things we wanted to do as well, with a few advanced property people who are already up and running, really, in a HMO or something like that, really.
Yeah, we do have some experience. Like I said, we bought the buy-to-lets about 9-10 years ago.
Yeah.
And the property we're currently living in, that was a really big renovation project. So we did kind of have some experience in that area initially, which is why we kind of went down the property route again.
And that leads into the next step, which is leverage, which really is the key to building wealth. When you get your head around, how to leverage all of the assets in your life, you've already touched on several of them right there, then this is when the magic starts to happen. So are there any examples of how you used either financial leverage or intellectual leverage or relationship leverage to help you on your journey?
Yeah, so financial leverage we've used is that we had the business, which was running for a number of years. We had a good pot of money built up there, really. It was just sitting there, not doing anything for us. So we managed to set up a structure which allowed us to have our group at the top, set up a couple of more companies, which our holding company where we had our property in, and then use that finance from the geeks company to move it across to the other company and use that to buy and refurb properties, really. So that was one leverage we used, yeah.
Yeah, just giving interbusiness loan between them.
How it works and stuff, yeah.
Did you use any investments or any cash that you had elsewhere? You said obviously your home, that was something that was kind of off the table. You weren't going to touch that.
Yeah, exactly. We just always felt that we don't want to touch our own home, really. So we could remortgage it, but we didn't want to do that at all, yeah.
In terms of relationships then, obviously, you had the relationship with your coach, but what about any friends, family or people in your network? Was there anyone that you collaborated with or have been able to kind of, bounce ideas off?
So before I joined WealthBuilders, I wasn't very big on networking, you see. So it was only after I started doing a bit more networking online, jumping on the courses and stuff, and then doing one-to-ones with other people who are part of the WealthBuilders, I got a bit more confident and started going to the PIN meetings and stuff and speaking to a few people there. And now I feel as if it's working a lot better. I went with my son to a couple of events as well, and it was amazing just to see him stand up and speak in a room full of like 20, 30 people and introduce himself and saying he's got a bit of a passion for property as well. I still struggle to do that myself to this day, but it was really good to see him do that as well, which I think is probably because he's seen his dad do it now. He's probably learned from that as well.
Focusing on the property then in particular, because am I correct to think that really it's been property and business that have helped you now generate enough recurring income to get you pretty much close to that financial independence target within, as I say, just over 12 months or so?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident to say that's the main thing for us. Yeah.
Tell us a bit more about the properties that you've purchased and what strategies you've used over the last 12 months.
So the first one we bought was just up the road, really. We've got a commercial shop, which we run as a family, really. And right next door, a couple of houses came up. We decided to put an offer in for them just before we were going on holiday. They accepted one of the offers. We bought the property and then we've done a complete back-to-brick refurb on it. But we project managed it ourselves instead of giving it to a builder to do everything. We managed to get the trades in at individual time. So we learned a lot from that, really. While we were doing that, we were going to put it on a normal buy-to-let, really, just let it out. But then we started looking into serviced accommodation, and that was one of the strategies I've been looking at. And because it was so local to us and the area was perfect for it to be a SA, we changed it into a SA, and it's been doing really well since then. On the other bit, we bought the Houseline house as well, haven't we, really? Yeah,
so it was our first auction property. We've been a bit wary of using auctions, but we went ahead and we purchased a property in August last year, which was an auction property. Yeah. It worked out really well. That's near completion, another refurb project, using all the skills that we've learned at our first one. Same tradespeople we've made relationships with. So we're using them on this project as well, which is near completion, hopefully in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. And then our latest strategy was a short lease apartment that we managed to get as well. That was an auction property as well, but nobody was touching it, and because it only had a 52-year lease left on it as well. And the person who owned the lease had passed away, so it had gone into probate. The wife who was trying to sell the lease, the freeholder wasn't playing ball at all. So I ended up in a dodgy sort of warehouse in Birmingham, really speaking to the freeholder to see if I can get the lease extended. And we had a mutual agreement, shook our hand on it, that he'll extend the lease for $20,000 for 999 years. So that took quite a bit of time as well. It was going back and forth because the freeholder didn't have everything in place. We had all these forms that we needed to complete and everything, but he would never get back to us and everything. But it took a lot of time, but it was just pushing paper around. But we managed to get that at a very good price, like $89,000 with the lease extended to 999 years. So that worked out really well. We'll be looking to refinance that in 6 months for about $200,000 as well. So I'll get most of our cash back out for that. And that's because I took a course, really, with Jason Patterson. He's called the Short Lease King. And I did a course with him, and I did every step he told me to do, step by step, on this first project that we were doing. And it worked out really well.
And you emphasised there the importance of education. Again, if you think back to that moment when you said, okay, let's join WealthBuilders, could you imagine that you'd be doing all of this stuff, the following year?
No, not at all, really. No, I think education and just networking with others is so important. That's what WealthBuilders allows us to do.
Yeah, you just steamroll the past less than 18 months. Just can't believe how quickly everything's kind of come into place. And it's definitely helped us.
Yeah, I printed off our wealth maps when we started, 6 months and 12 months, and it's unbelievable when you see on paper what you've done in them 12 months, really. Otherwise, you think, oh, bloody, I haven't done a lot, really. But when you see on paper, you have done a lot in 12 months.
That's it. Yeah. And obviously the obvious results, the main thing is recurring income. That's what we focus on. And as we've said, you've almost achieved your financial independence target, which is incredible. Once you start to get to that level, momentum kicks in, doesn't it? And do you see now that literally it's just going to keep on going and going?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a thirst, isn't it? We want more. We want, you can really enjoy it. You always say it gives a buzz. It kind of gives you an adrenaline push to kind of think, look what we can do and look what we've done, to kind of push you forward, just to want more and to do more.
Yeah, but my main thing is going to be the business, really, which is we're going to keep that going at the moment. It works, but we're going to try to get the staff to run it for us as well, so we can take a bit of a back step. That's my main aim now, really, to see if we can cut our days. I've cut my days down to 4 now from 5 because we were really busy. When we were building it up, I was really busy. But since I've joined WealthBuilders, I've learned that I need to delegate a lot more as well. So I've managed to delegate. We're looking to get more staff in now as well to build the business so that me and Marie are not involved as much. And then we can concentrate on the other pillars like property as well.
Yeah. And have you set the business up in a way that it generates recurring income as well?
It does, yeah. So our main business is support, really. So we provide IT support to all businesses all over the UK. And we lease IT equipment. That was our main business. So we started off as a support company, but we found that businesses wanted new equipment as well. So we started introducing leasing of IT equipment. So we lease laptops from little as like £6 or £7 a week, and they keep it for 3 years. And then after 24 months, they can renew or they can return the equipment. Equipment's always changing. So what we do is we offer them a one-stop solution, really, where they get the equipment, get the support, get the warranty, and then they can just keep upgrading when they want.
So the support contracts definitely are a decent recurring revenue for us.
For us, yes. Yeah.
I mean, there's people that have been with you since he started 20 years. So touch wood, it will keep staying with us.
Yeah. Yeah. Marie does get annoyed when they do ring me on the weekend and stuff, but I said that's the reason they stay with me, because they know they can get me on the end of a call.
So the money's nice, right? But what does the money ultimately allow you to do? What can you see now in the future that you're going to have the ability to do perhaps that you wouldn't if you weren't at this level?
So I think the first one is early retirement-ish. I'm late 40s and you're nearly 50. So the next 7 to 8 years, retire. We want to holiday home in another country where we can kind of spend months out there, work from there if needed, and then kind of back and forth from here, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think we can stop completely. We need to be doing something.
We both need to be doing something. We need to be kept busy. We kind of need to have a drive or something to work towards, but it's nice to think.
But I also wanted to make sure that with our kids as well, that they weren't worried as well. We wanted to set a stone where they can come into the company, into the property business as well, knowing that they are getting a bit of income from there, but they can go out and do whatever they wanted in terms of jobs. So if one wanted to just do charity work, they'll know they're getting some income coming in from the properties as well, and they can go and do charity work. They're not held back, really, but we don't want to be spoiling them as well, saying that this is all yours as well, really. So we want them to work for it, and I think they're learning as well along the way. So that was one of the things I wanted to teach them. So they know how to budget now. So if any money they get for their birthday, they're always saving 25% of that into another account. Then all the other 80% or whatever it is, they spend on themselves, really. So they're learning how to do that.
You mentioned your son obviously standing up and speaking at the PIN networking event. Your daughter's also getting involved, I believe.
She is. She's managing the SA for us, really. Yeah, she's getting all the bookings and looking after and getting the cleaners booked in. She's automated it using some software online now. So whenever a booking comes in, an automatic reply goes to the customer. And then when a cleaner needs to be booked in, she's managed to do that as well. So she's really
automated.
It, yeah,
she's automated a lot of processes, and she's 19, and I don't think if we didn't come on board with this, she would have been exposed to anything like this. So she's definitely, had a really great opportunity because of, what we've done here.
What we've done, yeah. And she's doing her law degree at the same time as well, so she's managing that as well. So that's really good.
So you can see a bit of a drive in her as well, can't you? And him to kind of
He's got a really big passion. Yeah, like she's got something she wants to do, all sorts, so she at the moment. Yeah.
And I think, like Steve mentioned, because we are on the road to financial freedom, it gives the children the opportunity to kind of, not work for the sake of working, but to work to do something that they enjoy and have a passion for, instead of doing just a day-to-day kind of job. So that was the whole point as well, wasn't it, for us? Yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned at the beginning, looking at leveraging your pension through the SAS, and the SAS obviously can form a really fantastic legacy, that trust fund where, it can make sure that all of the hard work that you're building now is protected for the future. Is that something that you've also enjoyed implementing and learning about?
Yeah, the SAS was quite difficult to set up because we were with Vanguard and there were always obstacles of moving that fund across to SAS, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's quite a few back and forth. It's something new and not relatively, it's not regulated as they were saying. So there was a bit back and forth, but that's been really good. We've also got the children's pensions.
Yeah, the kids have got their own little pension set up as well. We set them up as well. But the SAS is something that we wanted to set up so we can start using the loan back as well to develop the property business a bit more as well. But we also wanted to use it as a leverage, didn't we, really? That was the main thing, that we've got it as a backup.
So are there any pillars left untouched now that that you've yet to focus on?
The JV is the next thing for me, really. I'd love to do a JV with somebody, really, just to learn a bit more.
I mean, the one thing it sounds like you're definitely setting yourselves up for is that freedom of choice. So having the ability to, decide how you spend your days, who you spend your days with, and what you spend your time doing. And you might still be in the thick of it right now. I'm sure. I know you've got loads of projects still going on, but hopefully you can see within the next few years that absolutely will be, something that you'll have that freedom of time, that freedom of choice.
Brilliant. Yeah, Christian, I think so. Yeah, we love our holidays as well, don't we?
We do like traveling.
Yeah, so that's one of the things. We always try to get 3 to 4 holidays a year if we can. Yeah, so that's one thing. We can only do that now because of the financial freedom we can get, really, and automating the business to a good degree that we can leave that now. Yeah.
So final thoughts then, really, for anyone who's listening now, Steve and Marie, and perhaps they were in your shoes of where you were 12 months ago, and they're not really sure if they've got the time or they've got the skill. What would be some words of advice that you'd like to share with them?
So, like I said, we were okay. We had the finance there in place, but we didn't have a structure. And I think with WealthBuilders, it gives you that structure, really, to follow the 9 steps that we needed to do. Everything's there. We've got the peer in the group as well, which can help us whenever you want anything. You can ask the question. And I
think everybody worries about future planning and kind of thinking, or they don't want to, think about what far ahead. It's daunting, it's scary, but this gives you an opportunity, to kind of do it, and it's simplified, and it's not. It's
it's step by step.
It's step by step. It's simplified. They hold your hand along the whole process. And, before you know, your future plan is kind of done. And, and it wasn't as difficult or as daunting as you thought it would be.
Yeah.
No one wants to, and also it is the legacy that you leave back for your children. That was really important to us, because also no one wants to think about when they're not going to be here anymore. But, it just made it so much simpler for
definitely don't hold back. I think if you can do it, I'd jump on the course and jump on the academy, really, because
the support's amazing.
The support's amazing. Whenever we need anything, it's really good.
We really appreciate that.
Should give a shout out to the coaches that have helped you along the way as well. Who have that been?
Toby's our coach at the moment. He's been amazing. He's always coming up with good ideas. We're looking at a project together now at the moment, and he's just I've just looked at it as a normal flip sort of project, but he's come back with all sorts of ideas and stuff, and then he just starts saying, "Oh, that's a good idea, Toby." Yeah, so that was really good. I jumped on Manish's course as well. Did that for just to sort out stocks and shares out, and that was a really good course. Jumped on that with him as well. So that was something that you can ask anything, and the webinars are really important to me as well. Like there was a webinar yesterday that I unfortunately missed, but that was about the wealth dynamics as well. But you can get them all recorded. You can jump on when you get time. So they're really, really useful. John Dale, who does the property, he's an expert in that, and you can jump on a call with him as well. So there's plenty of stuff to do and plenty of help available.
Yeah. And of course, both of you who've been great members of the community, sharing and helping others. And that's the key, isn't it? It's always to have an arm stretched out behind for those that are a few steps behind, and stretched out ahead as well for those that have already walked the path that you wish to follow. So, it's all about that. Congratulations to you both on such an amazing, fast, accelerated journey over the last 12 months or so. And I know that it's just the beginning for you both. So well done, and thanks so much for sharing your story with us today.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you.
Okay, it was great speaking to them there, hearing everything that they've been doing. We'll dive into some of those lessons in a moment. Kevin, before we do that, let's head on over to Trustpilot, and I'm going to pull out one of the reviews that's come in for us in the last week. And this one is from Isaac, who says, Kevin was a speaker on a recent Nimbus Maps webinar, and his wealth of knowledge attracted us to speak with him as we were looking to set up our SaaS pension. After a one-to-one call, he advised us that SaaS is likely not the best option for us right now. He talked himself out of our work, and then he proceeded to inform us the best option for right now. The fact he did this, despite the fact it meant he is advising us not to use him and his team at this moment, means that we will 100% be using him. Thank you, Kevin, for your integrity, and thank you, Wealth Builders.
It sometimes surprises people when I do that. And then we do that as a team. It's not just inside the DNA of me. It's in the DNA of you and Paul and the rest of the team. We live to get results for people, and they don't need to. They might come with an idea they want to SaaS, for example, or a particular strategy. Doesn't mean it's right for them, and it would be very easy just to capitalize commercially and say, "Yep, let's get that set up. You want one, let's do one." But in every situation, when we look at it, if it's just not right or the timing's not right, we just simply don't suggest it, because we don't want people to incur a cost and a weight on their mind when we know how difficult, wealth is. So we want people to focus on what they can do, not what they might do in 6 months, 12 months, 2 years. So we'll continue to do that. And I'm always delighted when people come back and say, hey, I spoke to you 2 years ago, I'm ready now. And that happens an awful lot. And that surprised me, that review. I didn't invite the review, didn't ask for someone to do a review. It's just nice that they took themselves to a place to say, hey, let me think about that. That doesn't happen very often. People thinking about us rather than think about themselves. And I'm pleased about that, and always slightly humbled by it. And thank you, to Isaac for taking the time out, because he didn't need to do that, did he? He could have just moved on with his life, but he didn't. So thank you, Isaac. And thank you for all of those people who we've spoken to who've come back and remembered that integrity further on down the line.
So SaaS, of course, was part of the strategy for Steve and Marie, the business owners. We mentioned that. And leverage is a key part. And one of the first things that we do with all of our new members is create a wealth map. So we can see everything on one page, and we get a real snapshot of where someone is right now. And then working with a coach can start to dive into the areas and look at the bigger picture. And one of the first things was setting up the company in the right way. So taking those business profits that were sat there and being able to now use them in other areas. And for Steve and Marie's case, investing in property.
Yeah, and creating a SaaS as well, because you can divert the profits into a tax-free vehicle and also get the corporation tax back. So look, it's any business owner and anybody who's building wealth is going to suffer taxes. So the more that you can make your strategy as tax efficient as possible, the better it is. And definitely a good SaaS candidate. Not like Isaac, who wasn't quite ready, but Steve and Marie definitely ready. And they've put SaaS to good use.
Now, we didn't refer in the conversation to the Wheel of Wealth, but of course it's an integral part of the wealth building process. Once you've chosen your pillar, your strategy, then you have to turn the wheel, and it begins with education, support, connections. And we heard how much they've learned in the last 12 months or so. Certainly when it comes to property, I think they talked about doing a commercial property, some serviced accommodation, buying at auction, short lease strategies. None of these things they really knew about until they started.
And we're not suggesting that it's normal for people to adopt 4 or 5 different strategies and turn 4 or 5 wheels within 1 year. That's not normal. They're an exceptional couple. But it is normal to turn at least 1 or 2. They've just done it twice as quickly. You know, we think most people could do it in 3 years or so, and they'll have done it by 15, 18 months. So that's because they've given themselves the ability. And of course, they've got a great business as well, which gives them the stability of the recurring income that's also flowing in from IT contracts, from lease contracts, and some of those, as Marie said, you know, being with them for donkey's years. And that's a sign of a good business. And that's why whether they sell the business or transfer the business into the ownership or the management of the team they've got, that's going to stand them in good stead as well. And when you got that stability, gives you the confidence to spend the time to be able to build other strategies. And I mean, I think we should probably pick out 1 or 2 of those strategies on another podcast. Maybe we'll talk about auctions, Chris. Maybe we'll pick out short leases, because, you know, everybody has heard about leases and 999-year leases. What happens when they get shorter? How does that work with mortgages? Is there a strategy to be able to identify these properties and create more value? And all of those things are possible. And so every time we get a lesson shared by one of our members in the spotlight, it might be a reason for us just to dive a little bit deeper into that for the benefit of others.
One of the other benefits I picked up on, certainly from Marie, more confidence. And Steve going out networking, taking his son along, son standing up, and Steve probably going, wow, where did that come from, right? So, and of course, their daughter now being involved in the business. And it's just so great to see those lessons being kind of passed on to the next generation.
I think all too often there's this concept, isn't there, that the current generation most likely statistically to be wealthier than the generation to follow, and that's rare. You know, more often than not, the next generation is wealthier than the one before it. This is the first time. It's not going to happen statistically. And therefore, people dying and leaving money is one thing, but leaving wisdom is another. And involving their children in things, feeling the pride of that involvement, feeling the pride also of getting well-adjusted, mature, careful, generous children who don't just want to be entitled and spoiled, but want to participate in the family's wealth, not just to support the parents who perhaps have been the pioneers of it, but to perpetuate it for generations to come. And I think that's an important part of the Wealth Builder principles, Chris, enshrined in the Declaration of Independence, our own family Declaration of Independence, which is to build wealth and build wisdom, to pass that on and expand the wealth for the next generation and generations after that. So all the lessons we could probably teach in Wealth Builders have been encapsulated in one family here. And I'm delighted that you managed to pull out all of those lessons, Chris. So well done to you, and well done to Steve and Marie for sharing as generously as they did.
And the final parting words that Marie said was, it wasn't as difficult or daunting as they thought it would be. And I think for anyone listening now who perhaps is, on the fence, is this the right thing to do? Well, there you go. And words from someone who was probably in that same position just 15 months ago.
Yeah, and look, sitting on the fence is an interesting thing, but it's painful on the bottom and you can get splinters there. You definitely don't want to be doing that for too long. But if it really isn't daunting if there's a plan to follow and you trust in the integrity of the people who are guiding you. And all we can do is keep doing our good work, Chris, and more people every month will find us and follow us and trust us. And that's all we want, really. And, other people are out there and you can do things on your own. But in truth, speed, enjoyment, and risk, it's faster, safer, and more enjoyable if you do it with others inside a community where you can feel that you're being supported rather than just trying to do it all on your own. So I commend anybody to take a fresh look at Wealth Builders. If you've been listening for a while, just have another look. Come and join us on a webinar. Just take one small step, because it only takes one small step every single month to build wealth. You don't have to do it in 18 months, but most people can do it in 3 years. Think about that, Chris. 3 years ago was COVID. You know? So from 3 years from now is like looking back 3 years. Wow. You could be financially independent within 3 years, or financially secure at least anyway, most people. In other words, all your bills paid for from the proceeds of recurring income that you've generated from assets. And a short time after that, hopefully, to be independent for the rest of your life. And that's an interesting challenge for people who think, oh, I don't think I could do that. Well, can you just do one thing next month and reach out? And then can you do what we ask you to do the following month and just do it and just tick the box? Then most people can achieve it, and yet so few actually do. Statistically, it's still 95% of the population don't make it. And, we're helping people, hundreds at a time, but statistically, we're not going to do anything for the whole of the economy. And we just love that to accelerate if we can.
So if you'd like to have a chat, feel free, get in touch, head to wealthbuilders.co.uk/discovery call. You can book a call in with our team, and we'd be more than happy to understand what it is that you're trying to achieve and see if we can help you get there a little bit quicker. Thanks to Steve and Marie again for being our guests today. Thank you, Kevin. And we'll catch up same time, same place next week.
Yeah, and we'll pick up on one of those strategies, I'm sure. So until then, my friend, see ya.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget that we are constantly updating our resources inside the Wealth Builders membership site to help you create, build and protect your wealth. Head over to wealthbuilders.co.uk/membership right now for free access. That's wealthbuilders.co.uk/membership.